Welcome to the Hellas Chrome podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer. Thanks once again for tuning in. Really appreciate everybody jumping on the live stream. You know, the Padres in the playoffs, you can put that right on the back burner. You want to watch this show live to get the absolute latest in your SDFC supporter news. That way, you'll be ready to go in how many months? 4 months whenever we have a game to play. So put those playoffs on pause and tune in to us for the next half hour or so. And we do have some new stuff to talk about. You know, John was a little cagey with me. I was asking him before the show about all of this exciting news, and he was very dodgy and cagey. So let's see if we can't pry some information out of him. John, producer, president of the supporter union, and yeah, what's up, man?
How you doing, Andrew?
Well, I am not watching the Padres play baseball, as is our vast live audience right now. Everybody has chosen their priorities. Their priorities are in order, my opinion, because what could be more important than the latest in the goings on with this supporter union? Another step on the road, another brick in the wall of this thing being built. Well, before we get into all that, how have you been? How's this week been for you?
I think last week, I think I told you this a little bit on the pre-show that I felt exhausted, and yeah, it was nothing compared to this week. These last few days have been draining. There's just been a lot going on, and trying to get things squared away because we have the official recognition presentation coming up a week from tomorrow for us, so a week from Wednesday on October 9th. We got some events coming up here in October. We have a lot of goings on, new groups joining the union. Right? There's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, so it's taken my attention in a lot of different directions.
Wow. So new groups joining the union. That is, I think, big news, right? Been going forward with this original kind of seven, the
Mm-hmm.
Magnificent Seven, if you will, the Seven Samurai. I mean, pick your seven. But now we're going to have the Great Eight. Tell me about this eighth group.
Well, we have actually working with a couple of different groups, but probably the big one that's coming in right now is SDFC Tribe, is what they're called. We started to get some people. I've been in dialogue with them for a few weeks now and starting to get some people officially join today. And we'll start working through that process of getting them integrated. But they are a flamenco group, the Brazilian team. So uh, they support that team here locally, a bunch of expats and a bunch of other people, just fans. But they have decided also as a group to shift to support a local team. So we're working with them to get them integrated and add some new blood into the conversation.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, I remember way back when we did the stadium thing. They were uh, they were kind of, I don't know, buzzing around. There was a lot of members, and kind of an established, local fan group forming an SG. Kind of makes a lot of sense, I think. Um, there are a lot of people, I think, in some of the existing groups who are also part of fan groups for other clubs. But it's
Right.
cool if you've got like enough enthusiasm in your kind of whatever expat group to want to come together and do something here. So that's pretty cool. So way back when we were talking about this, there wasn't really like a process for a new supporter group to be onboarded into the union. I know that some
Correct.
other unions, other clubs have like these probationary periods, and there's a whole process to be recognized and to be a supporter group within the union. Where is this union on all of that? Is there a process? Is this just kind of like getting in, at the last second, and there will be a process in the future. What's that shaping up to look like?
There is a process. It's very loose here at the moment because first year, first forming, but we have some drafts of things that I would say are our long-term vision in terms of probation and recognition. I'm in the process of sharing those with various people who are interested, just so they have an idea. These aren't necessarily the firm ones because we still have to have things that are officially approved by the board. So they're in a bit of a commenting period, but the framework is there and the idea, and especially for new groups coming in right now, rather than wait till these are entirely finished, there needs to be some kind of working together to put to kind of help integrate these groups so they don't have to wait, and maybe not necessarily hold them to the exact same timelines that we might want to be holding people to if we're looking, say, to the middle or end of 2025, because we have a lot of growing. Frankly, we internally would like to get to more than 1,000 members by the end of this month, October. So we have some growing to do. Like I said, we have some big events. We can talk about those in a little bit, but yeah, we have a lot to get ready because now the attention is really starting to shift to the recruitment phase and then match day planning. Really, we really already need to start thinking about what match days are going to look like so we can start planning for those.
Okay, so last week, and we always have these shows the day before you have these meetings, right? So sometimes, we're always talking about, well, tomorrow you're meeting with them, and
Right. Yeah.
we should maybe move the show to Thursday, except not really. What do you think, or what was there anything coming out of last week's meeting that is worth updating folks on? How did that go?
Yes, but I will have to preface it that I can't share all the details. But it was shared with us at our last meeting some information for us, some concrete information about season ticket prices, when we can expect to see things and go on sale. So I can't reveal the details of those, but to let you know that since we know them, the public should be hearing about them. I'll just say soonish because we still don't even know what the time frame is. But at least we have heard something that has been communicated directly with us. So when the club is ready to make those announcements, those will be out there. And we talked about it was confirmed in the meeting that those tickets will go to members, especially for the season tickets, because that's what I think most people are concerned about, getting season tickets in the section. Those will go to people who are members of the union. So if you are interested in getting those tickets, I would say we haven't firmed up exactly how that is going to happen. We got to work with the club on all kinds of logistical issues. But the earlier you sign up with the union, the better the shot you have of getting season tickets. Because ultimately, we don't know how many people are going to sign up, but there's going to be a cap of season tickets in some way. I mean, the section is only so big. So there's only so many season tickets there. And even in conversations with the club, there isn't any plan to sell the entire section as season tickets. There want to be some single match tickets left over so people aren't locked out for an entire season, that they can't come see any matches in the section. So there's a lot of things in play as to what may influence how many actual season tickets. But if you want to make sure you are guaranteed the chance to purchase one of those, and I'll say discounted season tickets, especially when they first go on sale, you need to sign up. And the sooner you sign up, the better, because we'll probably start allocating them first come, first serve as that window actually opens up. So now's the time to get in if you haven't signed up yet.
So you obviously you can't get into specifics about price or date yet. Can you give me like a ballpark? Are we talking days, weeks, months away? Like, when do I need to start actually paying attention to things? Because up until now, say I'm like a normal person and I haven't been paying attention at all.
I would venture to guess that it would be unlikely that tickets go on sale in the first 2 weeks of October. But after that, I who knows, right? We still
Second
have to
half of
get
October
some.
confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. The inside information the club doesn't
I
want you to know.
I want to be clear. I didn't say that because but I find it, especially because we were given the information just recently. I would imagine if it was going to be in these next 2 weeks, the public would already have heard about it. That's really more than anything. So I'm sure. I would hope. I shouldn't say I'm sure. Within the next couple of weeks, there should be some confirmation of all the specifics out to the public of what's going to happen. Because even though specifics were shared with us, there's a couple of things that may impact how that changes.
So I'm
So
curious
I
about,
don't think everything is nailed down just yet.
right. So, when we talk about supporter section and, with the audience of this show, maybe it's a little, going over well trod territory, but when we talk about a supporter section, there's certain expectations for fan conduct in the supporter section, mainly that you stand for the whole match, that you are actively
Correct.
engaged in support, either through, a combination of singing, chanting, flag waving, drumming, participating in some manner through the entire match. Uh, there's kind of this expectation that that is what you are buying into, and
Correct.
because these tickets are discounted, I'm presuming heavily so, there could be, a certain type of fan who sees that as an opportunity to get, steeply discounted tickets, and maybe they have
Sure.
no intention of conducting themselves as a supporter. They really do want to just be a spectator. um, like, is there any like guardrails or mechanism in place, like even like legally speaking, can the club like put stipulations on these tickets? I feel like there's a real kind of
Yes. The short answer to that is yes.
they can't.
Yes. These are conversations we have had. It will, again, like making sure we have all the logistics, but the tickets generally, for lack of a better phrasing, will be going through the union. You got to be a union member to get them. Yes, someone could sign up for the union and pay the fee and just get tickets, and just what you're talking about, cheap way to get in there and get tickets. And will there be people who do it? I'm sure there will. There's no way we can stop that part of it, but there will be a sort of contract for the expectation and what's involved, and that, you know, there will be flags, there will be drums, people will be standing. No, you don't get to ask people to sit down. Like, this is the expectation for the section and how everyone is expected to behave. So there is, and this is part of this entire process as we get ready, and I'll say as the club gets ready to do these tickets, to let people understand what it's going to be like. Now, I imagine there will be a lot of people who, when they see the ticket prices, will probably like, oh, here's my chance. Oh yeah, it would be cool to be in the supporter section. And again, we can't stop that, and they may not really know what they're getting into. But also, as president, I guess I see that as a golden opportunity for us to get some converts. And frankly, I'm sure, and based on talking with other supporter groups around the country, when they started, the same thing kind of happened initially, especially in the first few games, because some people think that's where they want to be and they realize it's not. And frankly, what usually happens is, yeah, you have that, but those people tend to self-select them out of the supporter section pretty quick, especially if it's season tickets. So they'll contact their rep or something else and say, yeah, I don't want to be here. And then what you have is a bunch of other people around the stadium going like, oh no, that's where I want to be. And then it starts to sort itself out over time. But there's going to be a lot of energy the first game. Probably wouldn't notice it first game, just because of the nature of being your very first home game. But it is, I mean, the onus is on us as a union and all the different supporter groups to make sure we build that culture, that it's inviting, and all the new people who want to learn about it and be a part of it, that we welcome them in and embrace that, because frankly, that's how you grow. You're not going to grow just on your current existing people because they're already around. What we want to do is attract a bunch of new people and get them excited. So there is going to be a lot of that, but it's also a tremendous opportunity to bring them into the culture.
Great. So maybe I'm too. Yeah, I appreciate your optimism. Maybe I'm a little too pessimistic and negative and cynical and all that. But yeah, hopefully that works out real well for everybody. Let's talk a little bit about things that are coming up. I think you had mentioned an event Friday, another event a couple weeks from now. What's going on Friday?
So on Friday, we have big supporter meetup. And I just blanked out on the place. I'm going to have to look it up. I think it's called 1835 Studios. It's a place off of Imperial, just east of Interstate 5, right? On the outskirts of downtown there, kind of on the north end of Barrio Logan, or Logan Heights, I guess I should say more appropriately. But it's in that area. It's an open space venue. There's some indoor parts. There's an open space area, and the club actually has helped rent it out for us and is covering those expenses, so we can have a big place to basically have a big party. Kind of, I guess, like we think of a tailgate experience, so, or a pre-game meetup where we get people together. There's going to be some chants, but it's a chance for. It's really our first big chance for everybody in the union to get together, bring friends, bring family, bring guests. It's also doubling as, a recruitment event for us. We said we really want to grow this October, so we need to start getting information out and making sure people know who we are as we're gearing up for this prep and the release of the season tickets, which now we have confirmation are imminent. So this is the big push this month for us to build our base as large as we can. I'm sure as soon as season tickets open up, that'll increase it more. But it really, the 4th on Friday is just a big chance to come and help out. And your SGs should have all the information and the links and sharing that out. I totally did not come prepared now that you're asking me, as I'm thinking about it, because I've been so swamped with other things. I don't have the ticket link in front of me to even share in the chat right now.
So this is a ticketed event.
But if you go to any of the socials, which is, SDISUORG, if you go there on Instagram or X, or or even go to Reddit, those places you can find links to the event and what you need to do to sign up. It's not Eventbrite, but it's another ticketing kind of thing, so we can keep track of who's supposed to be there and what the crowd size is going to be.
And will there be food there, or what are we talking about?
There will be, and this is one of those things where, thankfully, as I say this, thankfully, as president, we are starting to get our committees more established in place and more people helping out. So really this has been turned over to the events committee and the comms committee to help pull this together. And thankfully, for once, I've been a little bit out of the loop on a lot of these things because other people are taking care of it and stepping up. So that has been really nice. But there should be some food trucks or a food truck. I don't know if it's just going to be one with our space in the venue. They don't do food or have any kind of licensing for that stuff. So all that stuff will either be brought in. We're looking for some donations. Not we're looking necessarily, but I think the event team is procuring donations and other things in terms of drinks, where people can bring their own with them. And then food will be available via the food truck. But really, it's just a chance for us to hang out, get to know each other, have a party, and really start to build our momentum and our culture, and use this as a springboard for the event on the 18th, and hopefully use both of those to really drive some not only recruitment efforts, but really culture building among the wider union.
Great, that sounds pretty cool. I just checked the broken website, the everything website, x.com formerly known as Twitter, and eventually I was able to find the results of the Padres playoff game. They did win that game 4-0 against the Atlanta Braves. So if you were bailing on the end of that game, have no fear. It was a win. I looked at, well, I say I looked. I momentarily checked the prices of Padres playoff tickets. And
Yeah, what were
yeah,
they?
y'all have fun.
Where were they
Y'all have
running?
fun. Y'all have fun out there. I mean, well, you know, if you just want to be in the building and sit at the top, it's still expensive. It's still going to be like over $100 a ticket, like to sit in like the
Wow.
worst section at Petco. Like it's just, and then of course if you want to have a decent seat, you're talking a couple $100 a seat. So yeah, not
Right.
quite in my budget for a sport I don't pay attention to until September anyway. So
Right.
um, although it is fun, I will say the last playoff run was a lot of fun. I couldn't afford to go to any of those games either, but I did go down to the East Village and kind of hang out around the stadium.
Just kind of hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of
That's
soak it
always
in.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. But
It,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I was just going to say it's nice when you have a venue that has a lot of entertainment district around it because you don't always have to be in the event to kind of get the enjoyment. You could be close by, you can be in a pub, you can be in a restaurant, and you can still kind of soak in a lot of the atmosphere that you would have for the game. So um, that's one of the things, unfortunately, we will not have at Snapdragon.
Oh, you can't
So
go to you can go to IKEA. You sit down
you
and have a
can.
meatball, and
Costco and go get a hot dog, right?
Costco, IKEA. That parking lot's always a good time.
Um, but yeah, we'll have to see how all that plays out in terms of food and drink, and especially with the at least proposed build out. And who knows, maybe this team will be able to find a way to build a stadium somewhere else at some point that will have more of those amenities and be more of a soccer specific stadium. But,
Oh, I
a girl
thought.
can
Hold on a
dream.
second. Hold on a second. I thought that Snapdragon was what I can't remember all of the buzzwords that these guys spit out, but
Well, soccer specific is one.
soccer specific. Yes. So I've been told Snapdragon is or was designed with soccer in mind. Now that may
I
be
would say that's an accurate statement with soccer in mind.
it may be hard to tell given the lack of awnings or shade or accommodation for supporters, welcoming attitude towards supporters. You may but this was designed with this game in mind. Rest assured, these issues are going to be ironed out before match one. I don't know where, I think a lot of our conversations about the union are specific to logistics, organization,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you're at right now. But
And
this was actually a big
and hopefully
issue.
that's going to start changing.
This was a big issue. Previous matches at Snapdragon was some of the, I don't know, hostility, perceived hostility from security towards supporter groups, and
Right. Yes.
this idea that this was going to need to be worked out before SDFC starts playing because, uh, you know, if 100 loyal supporters are, have one type of experience coming in for a summer friendly
Hmm.
against Dortmund, what's it going to look like when 2,000 SDFC supporters are trying to come in to watch, the first match ever, right? So
Right.
I guess this
That's
is
an excellent question.
your game day operations folks. Like how I feel like the folks at the club are aware of this concern from the union. Have you heard anything? What's the relationship with the stadium and stadium operations like right now between the union, the club, and the stadium?
Well, I would say at the moment, and I'll explain why, there isn't a relationship at the moment. But the union itself has been very proactive, and I want to get a huge shout out to Justin Brown from Riptides because he's been driving a lot of this. Um, but we have people who have connections in other clubs. We've had people who've been able to go and kind of go in with their leaders and look and see how they're doing things on match days so that we can learn from some of those and bring them back and use them. And one of the things we have already started putting in place is what we're calling as a risk management team, which is going to be broader than just match days, but that's the group that's going to be, if all goes to plan, because we've already proposed this to the club. Really, what we're waiting for is the official recognition presentation to be able to pull the trigger and start moving forward. But we want to start having regular meetings with Snapdragon Security, the club, whoever the club liaison is directly for stadium ops. But get all those people in a room, and there are some other SGs out there in MLS specifically that have a meeting like 3 hours before kickoff that they get together, they have a 30-minute meeting, and everybody sits down, and the SGs, or in our case, the union, is like, okay, here's what we're doing for TIFO, or here are the banners, or here are the special things that your people need to be aware of. So no one's getting, if it's something slightly different in a match, then you're not having security jump all over them because it wasn't what was done at, the previous 2 matches. And also any changes with security. And so there's relationships being built with those people to help manage any situations that may flare up during the match. But we're trying to be as proactive as possible to work with those groups and try to initiate those conversations to be able to build that rapport to not only help for if things go sideways, but also to try to be as proactive as possible to get them to trust us to relax some of their current standards for that supporter section. Larger size flags, bigger poles, more types of things we can bring in that the rest of the stadium is not allowed to do. And if we want to do that, we got to start having those conversations as soon as possible so we can build that rapport. And it's not, we all show up on match day 1 and there's terrible friction and everybody's frustrated and, things just don't go well, especially getting everyone into the stadium, getting the right equipment in the stadium. So one of the things we'd like to try to do if we can, or in the background trying to work on it, is can we do a little bit of a dry run somewhere where there's not an event, but some people are willing to be there. So we can do a practice tailgate. We've talked about this, but also some other things to just like, what are the logistics that we have to do? How long is it going to take to get things into the stadium? So when do we really need to be there to start? And I know those will work out over a few games and we'll have it down pretty fast because a lot of people have experience. But also just working with the stadium security because they're not used to this. This is going to be new for them. And everybody wants it to go smoothly. They have a job to protect safety, right? And we need to recognize that that's what they're trying to do. We need to try to get them to recognize that we're not trying to create a safety issue or problem. So how can we be able to do these things that we want to do and work with you to make them happen rather than, someone, I'll just say, sneaks something in and does something. Now security has to react, and now they want to overreact and do things that then just cause tension and problems, and we don't get what we want. They're always frustrated because they feel like they have to deal with problems all the time.
I feel like they should anticipate somebody somehow setting off smoke in this first game. Like somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to try to smuggle smoke in, and they're going to set off pyro. I don't know who, but I don't see a world where that does not happen. Like, be ready for somebody to do something dumb like that. Like, the union and the SGs can put all the rules in the world in place, police our own people, get the word out, let everybody know what the consequences could be, and somebody is going to do it anyway, right? Like people in the military, this always happens. Some knucklehead ruins it for everybody because, like a security organization, the military chain of command does not know how to react to things other than to go high and right and punish everybody when one person does something wrong. And the presumption is that you are all um, contributors to the guilt of this lone party. So I feel like there just needs to be like a little bit of grace and understanding that like there's only so much that we can control, just like there's only so much they can control. You know,
Right.
you could turn somebody away if they are too drunk, but if they get into the stadium and then get too drunk, you might still have an incident of somebody,
Sure.
like that's not to say you didn't do everything you could to prevent, like you have a policy not to admit people that are, but like things happen. And I think that there just needs to be like pyro is what I am. And that is the thing that concerns me the most, because that is the thing that is most like ingrained in supporter culture, that is like banned in all the MLS stadiums, right? Like you're not allowed to bring
Right.
smoke, right? And it's such a big part of what like supporter groups kind of do, that like I just have, especially for the first match. And yeah, you could tell
Well,
people, hey, they got facial recognition. You're going to be banned for life from Snapdragon if you set off pyro. And somebody's going to be like, you know what? That's a trade off I'm willing to take, to be the
right.
person that sets off pyro at the inaugural match, right? Like you're just not going to deter everybody.
Well, part of the problem for us as a union and as a leader of the union is I have been passed word, and we need to get still final confirmation. So this is why we want to start having these meetings, and also meetings with our own people to figure out, yes, we know people really want to do that, but how can we still like satisfy the urge and the need that people want to have in terms of pyro, but also work within the system? Because there, from what I've been told, there's been a shift, because MLS used to find the teams, and some teams, if their fan groups did it, they're like, we'll pay the fine. Okay. And now it's being shifted. The burden is being shifted. And I don't know how this is supposed to work, but to the SG. Yeah, and the fine comes to the SG instead. So we need more clarification on that, if that is actually the case. Um, but that could have some, for us, some drastic consequences. So those are all things we need to find out more, and we need to figure out. I mean, the club has already talked, like with the Loyal, about having the team do something where they have it, and it is under, like, I think the thing people also need to understand is there's some incredibly strict rules in California, which we all learned when we were over there with the Loyal and the locals. And there's like 6 people in the entire state of California who are properly certified to do pyro like this at a sporting event. It's the same people. They're in hot demand because people want them for all kinds of functions. And you got to reserve them well ahead of time and get them. Otherwise, it is a huge fine from fire marshals. So, but I've also heard rumors of some new cold flares kind of thing that are not technically pyro. It's really just kind of a smoke thing. So we are also exploring that avenue and how that works, and is that okay? And where does everybody stand on that? Because again, things are evolving and changing, and we're trying to both meet the needs of our group, our supporters, but also work within the framework that's been given to us, so we can maximize the fun. Because we just don't want to get in a situation where it's an antagonistic situation all the time. Then people aren't having fun. It's just a constant battle all the time. So we want to get to that stage where, we have that trust built up, and we're able to work within the system to push the boundaries a little bit and kind of just gain that trust and keep like, can we do a little bigger flags? Can we try this? Can we see how it works? And just kind of keep growing and growing. And as long as we're responsible as a union doing the things we do, we're supporting the team. And frankly, I think in all the years that we were over at Torero and 109, I don't recall any major specific problem in terms of supporters and what they did. So we were able to do a little bit more. So hopefully we can follow a similar kind of route and really make it an amazing match day experience that everybody is comfortable with.
Yeah.
Union
Yeah.
members are happy, they're having a good time, they're able to express themselves mostly the way they'd like to express themselves. Security's fine because they're not feeling that even with 3,000 people in the section, all with giant objects that someone potentially could use as a weapon, they have no concern that anybody's actually going to use them as a weapon, right?
Imagine
We
trying to
just,
use one of those
we,
big 12-foot like flagpole, like the PVC pipe. I mean, it is. Imagine trying to use it as. It seems. I
well,
mean,
I think the smaller flags with smaller sticks that are smaller are way more of a weapon issue than the big, tall, 12-foot, 1-inch
yeah,
poles.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to wave. I mean, they're hard to wave. I mean, yeah,
They are very
it's
hard, yeah.
it's really silly. So, well, that's something I think we'll need to keep an eye on. I'm hoping to get hopefully some of the security also goes and tours other MLS stadiums and sees what's going on there,
Right.
because they are the ones that need exposure to this culture and this environment. Like it's just it's not. I mean, it is not going to be the sirens and the cove. That is not, that's what you're thinking is going to be at this match. That is not that is not what you're going to see at this match. You are going to see something much different and much more apparently chaotic and boisterous, right? Like I feel like you should go
Yeah,
up to
I would say
LA
a
and,
higher energy and a lot of, right, flag waving and chanting and singing, but
mhm.
on a larger scale.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
least that's what we're expecting, right?
yeah.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
that's what we're all expecting.
I want to go back to upcoming the schedule and what people should know about. You had mentioned an event on the 18th of October. That's a couple weeks away, but you said you mentioned the date to me. I'm wondering what's going on then.
Yeah, I would say just keep that Friday open for right now. So
Friday the
we're
18th.
still
Keep it open.
Friday the 18th. And possibly, like, we're trying to see if we can make it work, but trying to hit like every other Friday for a few weeks here. So possibly the first two, but that's the 18th we've confirmed as a date, but I would, next show should be able to have the details for that. And we're shooting ahead also to see if we can do something on the first. But
All right.
that's not a confirmed date, location, or anything at the moment. So
Circle those dates. Put a question mark on it. Yeah, something might be coming. If it comes together, tune in next week. Hopefully, we'll have some more on that. My last question for you, John, is merch. Do we have merch? Do we have a plan to get merch in people's hands? Is there a merch package available when you join the union yet?
when we get those merch people involved, I yeah, we need some help on that. We need some help just in terms of bodies.
Mm-hmm.
and and what's are there plans? I would say the loosest of plans. I will say a seller's permit has been procured, so that's one thing ticked off. I don't know if we mentioned that last episode because I don't remember when it was actually done. So at least we have that. We are, closer in a couple of things, but also we just, frankly, we don't have anybody to really take points on this and drive it home, because the people who are actively engaged to see some things happen are engaged in other areas. And we really need a couple people we desperately need a couple people to set up. So if you're like Andrew and you really feel strongly, which a lot of us do in terms of merch, but this is one of those things that, and it's bad because unfortunately it's not something that needs to happen in the next 2 weeks. So it
Mm-hmm.
keeps getting kicked down the road a little bit, but it's going to become one of those things that needs to happen in 2 weeks if we let this slide
Kind
too
of like
long.
climate change, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to happen now,
Right.
but eventually we might want to do something about this.
But you're absolutely right. And it would, for even some of these events, it would help drive things. But we're a little maxed out on people right now. We have a lot of people helping out and working, and it's nice because as we get people going, we're able to do a little bit more, but we haven't identified. We have, like we said, we're not short on ideas, right? We have a lot of people who have ideas. We need some people who logistically are good people to take action and actually make it happen rather than talk some good ideas about what could happen. We have tons of those. Like, we have way too many ideas. We can't do all the things that we come up with and want to do, but we need some people who are willing to step up and take action
Oh man,
in
I am.
terms of merch. And
I'm really good at finding things for other people to do.
yeah, we have a lot of people who are good at finding things for other people to do.
Man, I'll tell you what, if
But I
that
think that's
job
just
comes
life.
open.
Yeah. Yeah, that job's over capacity right now.
All right, that job's taken.
In a good way.
All right. Well, is there anything that we needed to get to, or any news items you wanted to hit before we get out of here this week?
No, I think that's it. I was going to say hopefully we have news on official recognition, but I just remembered that will be the day after our show next week. So, like you said, we typically right now end up with lots of things on Wednesdays. So we kind of have to wait that little bit extra time before we can talk about it. But just the events coming up. If you haven't signed up yet, sign up. If you know someone who'd be interested in signing up, sign up. The events are starting to come in. We're starting to do more things. I don't know what's going on with the club. Eventually, we're going to have a team. We have a coach. We have 6 players. Eventually, we'll have a team, and more of that will start, creating interest for the things people are actually here to do. Be in the stadium and do all the match day stuff. But until then, we're trying to also fill the time with events and fun things for supporters to do and get together and start building this culture.
All right. Well, until next week, check your socials. Follow the SDISU on social media. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter. They're on X, the Everything website. I'm sorry. Where else can people find? Where else should people be turning to for information? The Discord. How do they get into the Discord?
You got to sign up to be a member of the union. So
where do they do that?
Go to www.sdisu.org. They'll take you to the website where you can sign up. When you sign up, also at the end of that sign up process is the link for an app called Chant, because we're using that for a lot of things this year. That's our member portal. And within that member portal, you can ask for the Discord invite. If you don't see, we're still working on some things. I'm trying to work on Chant. Try to set it up so when you're new, there's a little card that shows up that gives you the actual Discord invite when you get in the app, but it doesn't always show. So if you join the app and you don't see that card that has a Discord invite, just reach out to me or another leader, or just post in the chat. How do I get the Discord invite? I will see it. Someone else will see it. They'll
call John at home and ask him.
Yeah. I get way too much of that right now.
All right. Well, until next week, we'll thank you so much for joining us. And, next week we'll be back with more information, hopefully some more releasable info on tickets and ticket prices. But until then, we'll see y'all next week.
All right. Good night, everyone.